Hi folks, Brett and Clark here from the Land Canadian Adventures. We run 4 seasons backcountry adventures, wilderness guide training, outdoor education and team building right here in the Kawarthas in Ontario and all across BC. Today we're going to talk a little bit about building a fire. Now fire requires a triangle, 3 key components in order to build an effective fire. Number 1, it needs oxygen. That's not the first thing you think of when you think of fire. You think of heat, or you think of wood, or you think of paper perhaps. But without oxygen, without free-flowing, breezy air, you're not going to have a very effective fire. That's something that you have to keep in mind when you're building more and more fuel or more and more paper. That also blocks the oxygen. It's like a wall inside of your house. Blocks the free flow of oxygen or free flow of air. So you have to think about, where's the wind coming from? Or where is oxygen going to reach the source of the ignition or the source of the heat? Second thing, it needs a spark. It needs a source of heat. That we often get through fire steels or through matches or through lighters. There's lots of different ways of creating enough heat or enough spark to light the third component, which is your fuel. Now laid out in front of you, I've got 3 different types of fuel, and they go in order from beginning to later stages of your fire building process. On this side, we've got the primary combustibles. This is also known as, well, in this case, birch bark. Often folks use paper. Sometimes people use cardboard as well. But in central and southern Ontario, we're very fortunate enough to have plentiful source of birch trees, and their bark looks like this. When you peel the bark or you find some on the ground, it's very nice to put it in your pocket and save it for later because it's unbeatable as a primary combustible. Secondary combustible, or the second layer of your fire, should be tinder. These can be pencil thick to almost thumb thick, and they go on your fire after you've lit the primary combustible, in this case the birch bark. This is going to go on second. Finally, we've got the chunkier stuff. This stuff we refer to as the proper fuel. Even though all 3 together are fuel, this is the firewood, if that makes any sense. This is softwood. It's not very, very dry. It was a dead tree, but for not very long ago, so we're gonna have to get some good heat in order to make a good fire out of this. So, let's get it started. Now, like I said, there's lots of different ways of getting ignition or getting enough heat. But today, we're not really talking about that. So I'm gonna use my trusty lighter, which I always keep in my pocket and I always keep dry, ready to go. So let's light this birch bark. Take 1 small piece, find a corner. Birch bark likes to curl when it's lit. You'll see it moving. And the beautiful thing about birch bark is even when it's wet, it'll still take a flame very readily. Don't forget where you put your lighter. Once that's established, I add it to the rest of my birch bark, and then I can build a little fire around that. Again, very careful not to obstruct the flow of oxygen or the flow of air. Primary combustible is lit, we've got a fire, but we're not there yet. Now we need the tinder, the secondary combustible. Again, think about oxygen. I'm not gonna just drop it on there. I'm gonna let the oxygen flow. For your tinder, there should be enough space between tinder as the size or as the diameter of the tinder itself. So if you're using pencil thick tinder, there should be a pencil space between them. Third stage. Now we're ready for the firewood. I love the log cabin, I don't know about you. I'm building a fire to have a cup of tea. So I'm gonna build a nice stable base. Knock some of the snow off it. Oh, there's some smaller pieces. Just like that. Beautiful, my friends. Oh, beautiful. All right. And that, my friends, is it. Don't forget, fire triangle, oxygen, heat or spark, and then you need the fuel, the firewood. don't forget about the firewood. Primary, that's what starts, that's what grabs the flame. Secondary, that's the tinder, the pencil thick, the thumb thick stuff. And then the fuel, the firewood. That's third, tertiary combustible. I'm Breton, we're on the land. Looking forward to seeing you soon. Thanks. Come back for tea.